Before I was...
Has been a singer, a dancer, an actress, screenwriter, editor, lecturer, author.
I was born April 4th, 1928, in St. Louis, Missouri. Sorry, let me introduce myself. I'm Marjorie Annie Johnson, but you probably know me by Maya Angelou. I got my precious nickname from Billy, my older brother, which means my sister. We lived happily for years until my parents divorced. Billy and I moved to Stamps, Arkansas, where my beloved grandmother took care of us. This was short term, and we ended up moving back to St. Louis with my mom. Shortly, I was abused by a close friend of my mother at 7. After the incident, I refused to speak for 5.5 years, so my mother sent us back to my grandmother. When I began speaking again, my brother and I joined our mother in San Francisco. Shortly, I won a scholarship to study dance and drama. I took a brief break from school to become the first African American female cable car conductor at 16 years old. After graduating, I had my son Guy. I supported my son as a waitress and cook. In 1952, I married a Greek sailor and writer, Tosh Angelos. Our romance was short-lived, and his surname inspired Angelo. My singing career started flourishing. I released my first album in 1957, named Calypso Lady. The same year, I appeared in the off-Broadway production of Calypso Heatwave. I moved to New York and joined the Harlem Writers Guild in 1958. I earned another first by being the first African American female member in the Directors Guild of America. 2 years later, I moved to Egypt and edited the Arab Observer from 1960 to 1966. I met and became great friends with Malcolm X during that time. After my return to New York, I wrote, "I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings." At the time, I didn't think this would make me famous. I wrote Georgia, Georgia in 1972, which I then became the first Black woman to write a script to be produced. When I wasn't writing, I appeared in a number of theatrical productions, earning a Tony nomination for my role, Look Away, in 1973. I even had the honor to read my poem on the pulse of morning at Bill Clinton's inauguration. So I became the first female inaugural poet in U.S. presidential history. I directed Down in Delta in 1998. So I became the first Black woman director and producer for 20th Century Fox. In 2011, I was invited to Washington and awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom from Barack Obama himself. 3 years later, I passed away in my house on May 28th, 2014, of poor health. In all my life, I wrote 7 autobiographies, 3 books of essays, several books of poetry, won a Pulitzer Prize, and won 3 Grammys for my poetry. I'll leave you with these words from Still I Rise. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may tread me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise.